The Arizona Wildcats win this game against the Oregon Ducks. Final score, Arizona Wildcats 80 to the Oregon Ducks 62. There was some of the history of Oregon Ducks against the Arizona Wildcats. In the last three of the last four games where Arizona is away, then um, then Arizona loses these games against Oregon Ducks. So I kind of had an idea that it was going to be a little bit tough, um, especially with last season's team. I think last season's team was, what, 33 wins and 5 losses. So it was a very good Arizona Wildcats basketball team. And where did they lose one of their losses? Well, one of their losses was in Oregon, over at Eugene against the Ducks. So um, it is a battle with the Oregon Ducks, and I kind of expected that. And the first half, whenever I was looking at the stats, then I noticed that that I think three of the Wildcats were in some kind of foul trouble. I had 3 fouls. Um, Two of the guards for the Arizona Wildcats, the three-point shooters, Pitts and and Gabe York, uh, both had 3 fouls. Um, and I think it was Rondé Hollis Jefferson that had 3 fouls also. Um, and it's always kind of shaky whenever you get Rondé Hollis Jefferson in foul trouble from the Arizona Wildcats. But luckily, he was able to hold it together, and actually, it might have been Brendan Ashley that had. Well, Brendan Ashley ended up with 4 fouls, which was the most fouls that anybody had on the Arizona Wildcats. Um, there was a guy that fouled out for the Oregon Ducks, and that was Cook. Cook fouled out for the Oregon Ducks, and he was a post player. He's good at down there in the box, and he had 6 points tonight, but he was a pretty good contributor. He had, let me see, how many rebounds did he have? Well, he didn't get a whole lot of rebounds, so I guess he wasn't making too much of a dent. But the person that had the most rebounds for the Oregon Ducks was, let's see, I think it was Jordan Bell, I think, because he had 5 rebounds. But anyway, the offensive rebounds I think are most valuable to any team, and the overall total amount of offensive rebounds for the Arizona Wildcats was 10, and the total amount of offensive rebounds for the Oregon Ducks was 8. So there was a little bit of advantage in the Arizona Wildcats' favor as far as the offensive rebounds, and that was kind of expected because the Arizona Wildcats have a bigger team. But the thing about it is that in the Pac-12, the Oregon Ducks uh, actually have a better rebounding. I think have the best rebounding out of the best rebounding average out of the whole Pac-12, and that's kind of interesting because the Oregon Ducks are not that tall, not known for their extreme height. Um, so anyway, the offensive rebounds I think are very important, and one of the people that got a large amount of offensive rebounds was Rondé Hollis Jefferson with 4 offensive rebounds. He had 5 defensive rebounds. He had 9 total rebounds, so he didn't get into the double-double get a double-double with the rebounds and then with the points because he had a total of I think it was 13 points, but the guy that did get a double-double was Caleb Tarczewski. And the thing about it was that Oregon Ducks, they just had no answer for Caleb Tarczewski. Caleb Tarczewski for the Arizona Wildcats is 7 feet, and they couldn't really stop him right in the beginning. I think we were ahead 12-2. The Arizona Wildcats were ahead 12-2, and Caleb Tarczewski had scored 6 of those points, or 8 of those points. So he made a great contribution. He ended up with 11 total points, which is kind of interesting because they were able to. I think the Oregon Ducks were able to contain him and not to make so many points in the rest of the game, but in the beginning they couldn't find an answer for him, and that's when the Arizona Wildcats just came out with that 1-2 punch right in the beginning of the game, and that used to be a problem with the Arizona Wildcats at the start of this season. Was they came out sluggish and slow, and they were usually down by 10 or 20, 10 or more points. But the Arizona Wildcats have, during the past few games, they've been able to jump out and get a little bit of a lead, or maybe keep the game tied for quite a ways in the beginning, and then pick up the pace, either that or have a little bit of trouble like they did against UNLV, where they lost. But and that was the only Arizona Wildcats loss. But we had the Arizona Wildcats had a really difficult time with the three-pointers tonight. They only made 2 out of 11, which is 18% from three-point land. But I think that Sean Miller, the coach of the Arizona Wildcats, would be kind of happy because as far as the amount of turnovers that they had, the Arizona Wildcats only had 12 turnovers, which is not too bad. I think against ASU, then I think the Arizona Wildcats had 15 turnovers. So I think that Sean Miller is 12 turnovers is acceptable to him. It's not great. It's not. Something like 10 or less would be fantastic for him. But going into Oregon, playing at Eugene, a hostile environment, and the Arizona Wildcats were able to somewhat take care of the ball. That's not too bad. Jackson Cartwright, I think he was kind of rattled a little bit because he had 3 of those 12 turnovers were his fault. They had T.J. McConnell, which only had 1 turnover, so he did really good. But then T.J. McConnell is known, like I said, he's known for his assists. That for the amount of assists he gets, he usually gets like 6 or 7 assists a game, and he only was able to get 3 assists tonight. But he found other ways to contribute tonight. He had the most points tonight. He scored 21 points, which is very unusual for T.J. McConnell. I think that one time he scored 28 points whenever he was with Duquesne, but after he transferred here to the U of A, I think 21 points is the most that T.J. McConnell has ever scored in an Arizona Wildcats jersey. We had the Arizona Wildcats had 5 guys in double figures. Stanley Johnson was the second highest scorer with 14 points. Let's see how many turnovers. He had 2 turnovers. Rondé Hollis Jefferson had 2 turnovers. And like I said, Jackson Cartwright had 3 turnovers. So Jackson Cartwright was kind of having a difficult game. He shot a couple of three-pointers. He tried to shoot a couple of three-pointers and he missed both of them. So he was, there there was something that was kind of rattling him, something that was kind of bothering him. But he made both of his free throws. Um, Joseph Young, the hot player for the Oregon Ducks, um, I think scored 27 points their last game um, that the Oregon Ducks played in, but um, he didn't. There was something bothering him too because he could not get into this game, and he actually got called for a technical foul one time. So he ended up with how many fouls did he have? He had three. I think he had three personal fouls. Um, like I said, one of them was a technical foul. So I think that somehow the Wildcats just got underneath his skin, and so he wasn't able to make very make much of a contribution. He shot 2 for 7 from Joseph Young shot 2 for 7 from 3-point land. And that's kind of unusual. I mean, he didn't. That's not bad. I mean, it's like 28% or something like that. So, I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, 30% was 30 or 33% would be the best. Would be average for a three-point shooting. But anyway, he was kind of out of sorts with his three-point shooting, and the reason why I mentioned in the beginning about we, having Gabe York and having Elliot Pitts in foul trouble right in the beginning for the Arizona Wildcats was I was thinking, well, we had, I think, what was it, 8 fouls or something like that in the first half, and I was thinking, well, we're ahead. The Arizona Wildcats were ahead of the Oregon Ducks by 5 at halftime, leading by 5 points at halftime. But I thought that the Oregon Ducks would be able to get back into this game no problem, and if they were able to draw fouls on the Arizona Wildcats, then they would have been able to win this game. I think the Oregon Ducks would have been able to win this game if they would have got more of our guys in foul trouble. But the Arizona Wildcats kept a level head pretty much the whole game, and I was kind of surprised about that. I was very happily surprised about that. We had Brendan Ashley, which had 4 fouls, and he stepped up, and he handled it very much like a veteran player, making great contributions. He had, let me see, how many points did he have? Yeah, Brendan Ashley had 10 points tonight. He made 4 out of 6 from free throws, so he was able to draw some fouls, which is great. And then, he tried a three-pointer, but that didn't work out for him. But he made some other contributions. Got a block, got a steal. Hollis Jefferson had 2 steals. We didn't have as many. The Arizona Wildcats didn't have as many blocks as the Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks, I think, was something that the sportscasters mentioned too. Was that we were going to have to watch the Arizona Wildcats. We're going to have to watch out for blocks from the Oregon Ducks because the Oregon Ducks ended up with 7 blocks. Dylan Brooks from the Oregon Ducks had 4 blocks, and Jordan Bell had 3 blocks. Dylan Brooks was, for the Oregon Ducks, he was kind of like a seesaw a little bit. He was kind of like a roller coaster because he made some really nice contributions, but then at the same time, then he had 5 turnovers, which is a huge amount which is scary. I know that Stanley Johnson had 7 turnovers against that in that loss, that Arizona loss, which was um, against UNLV. But so any more than 3 turnovers is definitely dangerous territory. And as far as Stanley Johnson, he had, what was it, 2 turnovers tonight, so that he didn't do too bad. He played for 33 minutes. Had 4 personal fouls, just like Brandon Ashley. So that's kind of interesting. He had 3 assists, and that's one thing that's good about Stanley Johnson is I've noticed that he does get quite a few assists. I mean, a couple assists here every single game at least. So it's nice to have him playing as a team member and making contributions, not only on the from scoring, but also passing it off and passing off to someone else that is open and getting those assists. So the Arizona Wildcats had 9 assists tonight, which is below their average. Usually the average is much higher. The amount of assists is probably 15 or more for the Arizona Wildcats, so 9 assists. I was just surprised at the Arizona Wildcats and Oregon Ducks game, this game, because there just wasn't a lot of assists going on, and that was kind of interesting. The score was pretty high. The Oregon Ducks, I think their average is 78 points a game, so we definitely kept, the Arizona Wildcats definitely kept them down to a low with 62 points in this game. So that was a nice contribution too. And the Arizona Wildcats also shot 24 for 30 from the charity stripe from free throw land. So they did shot 80%. So they did very nicely on that one. The three-pointer attempt is, like I said, 18%. Something definitely that the Arizona Wildcats have to work on, and it'll be interesting to see how the Arizona Wildcats go against the Oregon Ducks whenever the Oregon Ducks play here in Tucson. I don't know off the top of my head whether the Oregon Ducks and the Arizona Wildcats who won that game last season. But if the Arizona Wildcats lost to the Oregon Ducks here at McHale in Tucson, Arizona, then that might be another battle, and it'll be a battle just because Stanley or Joseph Young from the Oregon Ducks might be on the mark that day, and this was just an off game for Joseph Young, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Oregon Ducks got kind of blown out of their building with an 80-62 loss. The Arizona Wildcats out-rebounded the Oregon Ducks 40-27, which is a huge amount. Let's see. I don't see really anything else that really stands out to me. Second chance points were helpful. Arizona had 15, while the Oregon Ducks had 11. Points off turnovers. That was 13 for the Arizona Wildcats and 6 for the Oregon Ducks. So that was something that was a little bit valued to the Arizona Wildcats. Points in the paint, 32 points in the paint for the Arizona Wildcats, 26 points in the paint for the Oregon Ducks. 6 fast break points for the Arizona Wildcats, 7 fast break points for the Oregon Ducks. And the bench, actually, the Oregon Ducks bench had 16 points, while the Arizona Wildcats bench had 11 points. So I think the biggest contribution was the points off turnovers, were from 13 for the Arizona Wildcats as compared to 6 for the Oregon Ducks. I don't know. I think that it was just too much, maybe too much athleticism for the Oregon Ducks to handle. They couldn't deal with it, and but I definitely wouldn't say that they were scared, because with the Oregon Ducks having almost the same amount of offensive rebounds as the Arizona Wildcats, but the defensive rebounds, that was pretty major difference. I mean, 30 defensive rebounds for the Arizona Wildcats as compared to 19 defensive rebounds for the Oregon Ducks. So for some reason, the big guys were able to dominate down in the paint for the Arizona Wildcats, and get it, and pull in those rebounds, and kind of eliminate that advantage for the Oregon Ducks as far as speed. I think that's one of the reasons why they're able to get so much rebounds, is because of speed. They might be smaller, but they're quicker. So anyway, something the Arizona Wildcats need to work on is three-pointers. But I think that the one of the big advantages for the Arizona Wildcats with this game was rebounds, was 40 rebounds as compared to 27 rebounds for the Oregon Ducks. So anyway, final score: Arizona Wildcats 80 to the Oregon Ducks 62.